Okay, this is just inside the entry, right by the half bath, guest bath, powder room. And what we have here is the electric load center. Some people call it the breaker box, electric service panel, call it what you will. Here we are. And we're just going to start with the cover. Our cover is designed for duplicity. That was the manufacturer thought that it would be a good idea to have duplicity. And what we do not have here is duplicity. We've got everything handwritten in here, and then we have our blank register over here. Now this handwriting that we're looking at, that would be acceptable over here on this register. These registers by the circuit breakers, they're supposed to be printed. Now I didn't wake up this morning and decide how I was going to wreck everybody's life. I didn't, okay? See where it says danger? That's printing. See where it says Cutler hammer? That's printing. The manufacturer thinks that these should be printed. The National Electrical Code thinks that it should be printed, and the International Residential Code thinks that they should be printed. Everybody thinks they should be printed. It doesn't mean that these breakers are going to work or not work. No, it doesn't mean these breakers are going to work or not work. You're going to have any operational difference because this is not labeled properly. But all this is not labeled properly. Now this box, when they put it in, this cabinet, okay, they dropped it in with drywall screws. Kind of like with the kitchen. We'll talk about that in here in a little bit. So we got drywall screws holding this in. Drywall screws break. They pop. Okay? It would have been better if they would have used a different fastener. But they didn't. And then this gap right here, this gap is not supposed to be more than 1/8 of an inch. Alright? Because this cover, okay, is supposed to fit flat on this cabinet flange. And when you have a gap like that and the cabinet cover comes to this, if you have a fire inside of here, it just comes right on out. Now we got L1 and L2, and this is considered a second panel. Some people call them sub panels, call it what you will. And so these are not required to have protective covers on them today. Probably tomorrow I'll be writing them up, but today we're not writing them up. They're required at the meter, but they're not required. The protective non-conductive covers are not required here. Our neutral's labeled, everything's fine. White's over here, ground's over here, everything's fine. Coming over here, this is our condensing unit at 20 amps. Our condensing unit is rated for 20 amps, so it's properly fused. So that's a good thing. All those are good things. What we don't have, see, these are lockouts. We can put a lock in here, we can turn the circuit breaker off. We should have a lockout for we got one for our water heater, that's a good thing, but we need one for our kitchen range as well. And our kitchen range and our closed door are supposed to be GFCI protected, and they're not. Okay, and then all the other rooms, again, it's 20 years ago, this wasn't required. But today, our bedrooms, our living rooms, just about every place that a person would be is required to be AFCI, arc fault. You got ground fault, that's shocks, arcs is for fires. For fires, yeah. So what we got here is we got some wood shavings in the bottom of here. We're not supposed to have any combustible materials inside of the cabinet. That's what we're not supposed to have. There it is, there's the wood, so I'm going to write it up. And then look underneath here, see that big old hole? Do you think fire could jump up through that hole? I think fire could jump right through that hole, man. I think the fire wouldn't have any problem going through that hole. That hole's supposed to be filled. We use those holes to bring our wires in. But in this case, there's no wires coming through here, so you just got a big old window right there. So